Yes, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Yes, you are. I love you so much. You're a good boy. You want to teach them about deadlift? Should we talk about deadlift today? What is happening, people, and welcome to today's video. I want to give you guys 4 tips that you might not be doing on the deadlift. Now, each one of these tips addresses very common mistakes that a lot of people make on the deadlift. So if you are able to correct them, then hopefully it will lead to a stronger, more efficient pull in a shorter amount of time. So let's get after it. Tip number 1, if while performing the deadlift, you are not actively squeezing that bar as hard as you possibly can, if you are not pushing your feet and driving into the floor as if you were trying to push the world away, or your chin is not tucked or in a neutral position, then you are absolutely leaving so many pounds out there in the ether because you're not getting the horsepower into your pull that it should have. So I would highly recommend that you remedy that. Now, if you've been a fan of the channel for a reasonable amount of time, then you might recognize some of these cues from my How to Deadlift series, which is inside my Deadlift Help playlist, which has a litany of videos covering virtually every single mistake, every single tip, every single cue that you would ever want to know about the deadlift. So if you have more questions after this video, make sure you go to that playlist next. Tip number 2, sometimes strength just doesn't show up to the party on your deadlift day. If you've ever been lifting 135 and it feels like 225, or you're going for 225 and it feels like 315 and 315 feels like an absolute truck, then you absolutely know what I'm talking about. Now, this could be happening for a number of different reasons. It could be your programming. You could have some sort of CNS fatigue. This could be due to stress in your life, or not getting enough sleep, or having the wrong diet, or drinking too much, or whatever the case may be. You are in a hole, and the first thing you need to do is stop digging. So instead of just writing up this workout as a loss because strength didn't show up, then you need to pivot and figure out some other way to make this workout worth it. That means working on your technique, or working on your bar speed, or working on your volume, or something like that. Now, for me personally, a workout that I regularly fall back on when I do show up to the gym on a deadlift day and my strength just is not there, is that I will load the barbell with something reasonably heavy. Not so heavy that you're getting a lot of form breakdown, but not so light that you don't feel like you're actually doing something. So for me, that usually ends up right around 500 pounds, and then I will get in front of a clock, and every minute on the minute for 10 minutes, I will do 2 to 3 reps as perfectly as I possibly can. There is always something that you can be improving, and using this method allows you to work on your technique, but the volume is so high that it's gonna drive you further into the ground. The weight is limited because of the shortened rest periods, and it is one heck of a workout in a short amount of time. So you can walk out of the gym with a huge win and feeling good about your progress, instead of just chalking it up to a bad day, because too many bad days in a row and you're not really doing anything anymore. Tip number 3, if you ever find on a deadlift that your hips shoot up before the bar leaves the ground, or that your second, third, fourth reps are easier than the first, then most likely you're starting with your hips in an incorrect position. Now, in order to remedy this, what I recommend that you do is set up a camera or your phone directly in a side position from your deadlift, and on the bar, I want you to have something like 75 to 80% of your 1 rep maximal. And that way the weight is not so heavy that you're getting a ton of form breakdown, but it's not so light that you can just screw around with it and do dumb things with it anyway. Now, once you perform your first rep, I want you to lower that bar slow and under control in a touch and go fashion, except I want you to act like the floor is a glass surface. So you bring it down slowly, just barely touch the ground, and then reverse for rep 2, and then do it again for rep 3. And if you find that if your hips are in a higher position than they were on the first rep, then that is your actual starting position, and you need to fix that. All you're doing is basically reverse engineering the deadlift, because your body will not lower something of substantial weight in an incorrect manner. It will absolutely use its leverages, and your form will be absolutely perfect. So when that bar taps the ground, that's your new starting position. Continue to mimic that on your first rep until it sticks. Tip number 4, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than expected to win that battle over gravity, because the heavier the weight is on the bar, the longer it's going to take you to break it off the ground. So many pullers end up giving up on their deadlift before it's time to actually give up, and they may have actually gotten it if they stayed in that fight 1 to 2 seconds longer. Now, this is actually a lesson I learned at my very first Strongman National Championships during the car deadlift. It was the last event of the first day, and it was the first time that I'd ever deadlifted a car, and I didn't know what to expect. But what happens on a car deadlift is the frame that the car is actually sitting on. You need to pull all the slack and all the bend out of that frame. Then you need to pull the suspension out of the car, and then you actually get the weight of the vehicle and you can complete the deadlift. Now, that was a lot longer and a lot harder than I ever expected to pull, and I did okay. I didn't do that well. I got like 6 or 7 reps. I think the winner got like literally like 25 reps or something like that, so I didn't do that well. However, what I did learn is that I had never actually pulled hard on a deadlift in my entire life. I was always giving up earlier than I actually needed to. So literally the weekend after I came home from my first nationals, I pulled 635 for the first time on the bar. And the reason why is because I kept pulling on the bar and giving up after 1 or 2 seconds of it not breaking the ground. But what I needed to do is put full effort, pushing my feet into the ground, all the stuff that we've already talked about earlier in the video. I needed to do all of that for a little bit longer, maybe 2 or 3 seconds longer, and then slowly the bar broke the ground and I was able to pull 635. Now, I'm definitely not saying hurt yourself or anything like that, but I am saying that for some of you, you're giving up on your pull a little bit too early, and if you hung in that fight maybe 2 or 3 seconds longer, you might be able to actually beat gravity and lift that bar. Alright people, so that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time, for your attention, for all the things that you do to help support the channel, especially the programs and the coaching calls. Those are the 2 biggest ways to support the channel. So I thank each and every single one of you, and the coaching calls are so awesome because I love meeting you guys and helping you along with your goals. So if you do need a little bit more individualized help, currently I'm not doing individualized programs or personalized programs. I'm doing that during the calls where people will buy a program and then we talk over the different ways that they can tweak it to fit their individual goals, and also we get to talk about their diet and anything else that they want to talk about on the phone. So it is a really, really good time, and I truly appreciate every single one of you that I've gotten to talk to over the past couple of years. So I thank you guys so much for absolutely everything you do. I will catch up with you later sometime. I honestly don't know, but I thank you. I will catch up with you. I still mess this up. Go out, do something, amazing in your lives. Keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other, and I'll see you then.